Welcome to Black News Tonight. The fashion industry has lost one of its greatest icons. The fashion designer and entrepreneur Virgil Abloh passed away yesterday from a rare form of cancer. This visionary artist broke many barriers in the fashion world. His unique style led him to work with big names, one of them the rapper Kanye West. The son of Ghanaian immigrants, Abloh also founded his own luxury label named Off-White, and he made history in 2018, becoming the first black artistic director of the French fashion house Louis Vuitton. To talk about the life and legacy of Virgil Abloh is Robin Givhan, the Washington Post senior critic at large. Robin, so good to see you. Talk to us about how significant Virgil Abloh's role was in the fashion and entertainment industries.
Well, I mean, I think I would start by, just saying that the number of designers who work at that level being sort of at the top of the pyramid, the fashion pyramid at a luxury house, particularly one of the French luxury houses, is quite limited. And for a young black man to be in that space is highly unusual, sadly, and is incredibly significant because, these are corporations that really traffic in this idea of heritage and tradition and exclusivity and this sort of rarefied atmosphere. And so to see him in that realm succeeding is highly significant and I think really inspired a lot of people.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about his creativity and some of his most known products. The Nike sneakers, the album covers. I own a bookstore, and when Virgil's book came out last year, I mean, I had people calling, waiting in line for his book. His style was unique. Help us understand sort of what made it so unique and why his work was so popular to so many people.
Well, his work at Off-White, which is really what he became known for in the fashion world, is, I would say, sort of rooted in a sense of irony and playfulness, but also a real sense of fashion as sort of signifying belonging, creating identity, creating your tribe, so to speak. If you saw one of his jackets or a dress, that black dress might have in parentheses, little black dress. So there was a lot of sort of referencing to sort of postmodernism, and he was really interested in and tied to the world of visual arts. I think a lot of people want to kind of lump him in with hip hop designers or streetwear brands, but he really traveled a lot. He was a disc jockey. He was very involved in creative direction. And so his work had a real international sensibility. And it was also an expression, I think, of a creative mind that worked and thought far afield from fashion.
When it comes to diversity in the fashion industry, you've already talked about how rare his position was. But the thing about Virgil that I always admired, always appreciated from afar, was the work he did to help change the face of high fashion. Can you talk a little bit more about what he did to help change that environment?
Well, I would say the most significant thing that he did was simply to bring his full self to his work. And he used references that spoke to him. His first collection for Vuitton, he was the artistic director for the men's division. He invited a large number of fashion students to the show. He was, he had said once that he sort of wanted to be the kind of designer, the sort of example of a designer that he would have wanted to see when he was 17 years old. He really thought about the example that he was setting, the ground he was breaking. Not that long ago, he worked to establish a fashion scholarship in New York, and he was quite intentional in wanting that scholarship not only to be specifically for aspiring Black designers, but also aspiring Black business people who wanted to be in fashion, because he understood that fashion is not solely a creative endeavor, it's a business as well. And the only way that you get forward momentum on issues like diversity and inclusivity is that you have those things on both sides of the wall, not just on one side.
It'll be interesting to see the future and culture of streetwear after his devastating loss. I mean, his loss was a shock to many of us. It was deeply painful to so many people. I just don't know where we're going to go from here. But as Black folk, I know we're going to be okay. But this is a tough, tough loss. Robin, thank you so much for spending time with us tonight and helping us understand the life and the legacy of this extraordinary person.